with all this talk about reopening the economy, can we just take a breath, take a break, and just think about how we're going to use this once-in-a-generation time to talk about how we even want our economy to be, how we want our education, our employment, our childcare, our hospitals, even the environment to be, and use that discussion to help us into the future?
Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous question. And I think many of the comments have pointed in this direction. It's a chance for Australia to develop an industrial policy for this generation. And we can move in the direction that we think is going to be consistent with the country's comparative advantages. And for example, solar voltaics is one example, right? We have so much sun. Why are we not pouring more research and development and jobs into that sector and make a green energy future? Why don't we do more in terms of, teaching and nursing and all these other kinds of, supposedly scarce occupations? And the government is moving in this direction a bit. So the higher education package that was passed recently is putting up diplomas in those kinds of areas, IT, healthcare, nursing, teaching, and that is going to help some of the young people who will have been displaced, and is also starting to move in the direction of reconfiguring the industrial mix.
You mentioned something, though, that we've had people writing to us for weeks about, which is, can we use this moment to transition to a green energy future? And a lot of people referring to Ross Garnaut's book, talking about Australia becoming a hydrogen superpower. I mean, is that the sort of thing that could be used to get us out of this moment?
Sure, look at historical examples. Think of the New Deal in America, right? The Hoover Dam was made, right? So much infrastructure was built. Some of it hasn't been replaced since then. And this is exactly the sort of moment when we need to deliver fiscal stimulus anyway. So let's find ways to deliver it in positive directions for the future of the country.
And that's the intergenerational payback that Sally was talking about at the very beginning of the program, where you do invest in things that can be sustained and provide a rich and, I'd say, meaningful way of life for Australians in the future.
Nev Power, are you considering those sorts of things?
Yes, absolutely. And those are very much on the agenda, to talk about how we can develop our economy, how we can grow our economy by not trying to replicate the past, but how do we modernise it, how do we grow it, and how do we accelerate those sectors and those industries that can give us the greatest benefits in the shortest possible time.
So can we nail down some specifics, though, please, Nev?
Sure. I mentioned before about manufacturing. So one of the keys to getting our industries competitive is to have competitive energy supply. So right now we have an opportunity to get low-cost gas into our markets and make sure that we can then generate low-cost electricity, and that will kickstart a lot of manufacturing that we currently import. For example, we import fertilisers from overseas, and we import it from overseas because they've got lower energy costs than what we have. Yet Australia has a huge abundance of energy of all forms, and of all the countries in the world, we should have competitive, sustainable energy supply here and be able to use that to kickstart a lot of those industries.
I think another change that's happened is this idea of value, and who do we value in society and who don't we? And all of a sudden all these workers who are unseen, unspoken about, not respected, are essential workers. So you've got people who look after your sewage systems, people obviously in your supermarkets, people who disability care workers, obviously nurses and teachers, and all of a sudden workers are at the front. And I've sort of seen a lot of pride coming from a lot of those workers just for the label essential. Like when it came down to it, actually we didn't need the bankers and the hedge fund managers and all of those people. Who we really needed were basically people in the supermarkets keeping things running.